All right, guys, welcome back to yet another edition of a Native MMA Radio. Here we are to recap UFC 258, Usman versus Burns, and it really seemed like Kamaru Usman has now solidified himself as the best welterweight. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's arguably on his way to become the welterweight GOAT right in front of our very eyes. GSP still currently holds the title for most people. Obviously, what he was able to do is very, without a shadow of a doubt, good. But Kamaru Usman is a win, maybe 2 wins away from really solidifying himself as the best welterweight we've ever seen. Before we get into all that, I'm Randall, folks. My main man, Wally Wall Canducci, here with me as always, straight from France. Like us on our Facebook, our Instagram, all of our pages, Native MMA Radio Native MMA Radio. Great interviews. Obviously, we do recaps, previews every week. Like us, subscribe, hit the little bell so you get the notification, all that great stuff. But let's get right into it, Wally Wall. How was the main event for you, man? Kamaru Usman really just punched his way to the victory.
I feel like I wasn't surprised. To be fair, I feel like we kind of knew that Kamaru was the better fighter. Gilbert Burns, as good of a fighter he is, I feel like he capitalized on getting that title shot, but without winning against a Colby or a Masvidal that doesn't really.
Well, he did beat former welterweight champion Tyron Woodley, so it's not like he didn't. Another welterweight great that he put down as well, Damian Maia. He beat Gunnar Nelson. I mean, he took out a lot of people on his way. What's his name? Alexei Kuniko was completely undefeated before he ran into Gilbert Burns. So to say that he didn't, I get it. He's maybe one top name away from being, the for sure deserving number one contender.
Yeah.
But let's not act like he wasn't deserving to be in the spot. He definitely held his own, and he almost took out the champ himself.
No, he capitalized on, I'm not saying that he didn't deserve or anything. I'm just saying that he wasn't really challenged. He faced Maia. Maia was in his head. He knew that he would never get a title shot again. So that was like a not really motivated Damian Maia. He fought against the version of Woodley that we hate to see.
Stanford
Woodley
MMA has
ever since Usman destroyed Woodley, he never looked the same.
And Kamaru Usman has tended to do that to people. They don't look the same after facing him. I mean, when you look back at everyone, they have really either A, had to reinvent themselves, completely leave where they are, go somewhere else, do their thing, or they've just floundered away. Kamaru Usman has really proven to be one of the best in the world at mixed martial arts. He is arguably one of the best wrestlers also in the game, and I really feel like just having that wrestling heavy base to always lean back on is a huge contributor to his success.
Well, he exposed people. I feel like with his cardio and his level of work, he will expose your striking, your grappling, your everything. You can even be on paper be a better striker than Kamaru, but because of the work he put on the cage, inside the cage, like the level, the pressure he puts on you, he will look like a better striker than you. And
he
guess
keeps
what?
It very simple. He keeps everything he does super simple, and that's what I like. There's nothing flashy about him. He is the most dominant champion in the world, and he does it with just doing the basics.
And he's getting better and better. His striking is looking clean, more clean, without trying anything fancy.
If we could just get some head movement, it would be good.
We would get everything, But we were talking about before recording about fighting IQ. Kamaru Usman, his IQ is top of the charts.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get down to the very, very, very first fight of the card. Gabe Green took out Philip Rowe. I was huge on Philip Rowe coming into this fight, but Gabe Green looked phenomenal. 70 total strikes compared to 42. He got the 2 takedowns and obviously got 1 submission attempt. Gives himself the unanimous decision victory. How impressed were you by Gabe Green's performance?
Well, it was a one-sided victory fight, I would say. Gabe Green really looked good.
That second round was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was his night. Furo, like you said, we were expecting to see more of him, but yeah, Gabe just outworked him and looked better than him.
In that second round, Gabe Green almost outstruck Philip Rowe's entire fight total.
Yeah.
He also almost landed more headshots on Philip than Philip had landed on Green the entire fight. Just to put a little bit into perspective how dominant that entire fight was. You know, he was just completely one-sided by Gabe Green. And I know that you love to open the fight with the heavyweights, but these welterweights definitely showed out.
Yeah, I like to start with the heavyweight because the probability to have a finish is bigger. But I'm not bad when it's a very good fight to start with, and this one was a very good fight to start with.
Yeah, we had another very fast-paced catch weight matchup between Mr. Highlight Andre Wheel versus El Guapo Chris Gutierrez. Obviously, we've had Andre Ewell on the show before. I want to stop before we get too deep into the conversation about the fight, and I want to bring you back to a moment that Jon Anik spoke about. I want to get your opinion on it. He brought up both men's custody cases, and it was almost in a situation where, you know, you see a lot of people who were very upset about it. Like, I mean, I've seen some jokes on the internet where, like, you know, Jon Anik was on commentary and they were saying that Jon Anik was like, oh, Andre Ewell swings and misses. You know what else he misses? His kids. Like some crazy shit, bro. And I was like, damn. But I've talked to Andre before, and he's very open about his situation with his son Eli and how he would love to have Eli in his life, but obviously just for such situations and circumstances out of his control, that's just not an option right now. And Chris Gutierrez, you know, fired back at Jon Anik with some shit like, you can bring up all my business, but yeah, we don't ever talk about how you were cheating on your wife back in 2017 and some shit. I was like, oh, okay. So obviously he took offense to it. Andre Ewell, very open about his situation. How did you feel about Jon Anik? In my opinion, I thought it was just maybe not the right place to talk about it.
Well, I feel like Jon Anik, like, for a guy that, you know, he speaks like, of the team of the commentary, like he speaks the more, he speaks like 75%, like he do all the work. So sometimes he talks about everything around the fighter, and this time it didn't work well. Sometimes he would tell you what they're eating in breakfast and shit like that. Now he was maybe he was trying to, you know, talk about more personal thing about the fighter, like to make people like care more about the fighters, but that was not the right thing to do. I don't think that it was anything evil he was trying to do, but sure. I disagree with the why would you bring that up, you know what I mean? It's a sensitive subject, you don't bring it up.
And even though Andre has been very open about it, I feel like it was just a weird place. A very close fight, though, between the two. I loved it back and forth. Andre Ewell, I feel like, won the first round and then the second round, but I thought Chris Gutierrez obviously put it on him in that third round. I gave the fight to Andre Ewell. There was a takedown by Ewell in the second round. He outstruck Gutierrez in that round. He also outstruck Gutierrez in the first round. So how it ended up being a unanimous decision win for Chris Gutierrez was a little confusing to me. You know, granted, when he landed the takedown, he didn't have a whole lot of control time, but yet he still secured a takedown.
Yeah, but that's the big debate. Should a takedown be scored?
30-26 rounds. Like, there was one judge it was 30-26, 27-30. The only one judge that I understood and I could agree with was 29-28.
Yeah, I agree with you. For me personally, I thought that Andre won the fight because it was a very close fight.
Super close.
But yeah, at the end of the day, to say that it should have been a split decision or whatever, who cares? The judges said he lost, he lost. Of course, a 30-26, it's a what the fuck kind of scoring. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? He lost this fight, and let's move on.
Andre Ewell has already moved on. Him and Cody Stamann are barking back and forth on each other on Instagram. I expect that fight to be made in the near future, and I can't wait for that one.
Good. I like fighters when they bounce back immediately, not waiting on anything. And now he's trying to make the next fight happen, so that's good.
Right on it. Polyana Viana took out Mallory Martin in the very first round with a beautiful armbar from Mount. It took her 3 minutes and 18 seconds to finish the fight. But let me tell you what, she went in there and put on some work the entire time. It was, nonstop pressure. Ends up getting the beautiful armbar. What did you think of the submission?
I thought that it was a very good submission. I feel like it's one of the, I don't know how many we've got, 3 submissions in that night. So yeah, that's the first one.
Very impressive how she hit it as well from Mount.
Yeah, that's the perfect thing to do, man. If you go to the first round and get the finish, you can't ask for better thing to happen in a fight. So
yeah, totally. Polyana Viana could definitely turn around here within the next 3-4 weeks and definitely get a fight again.
Exactly, and we've seen in 2020 people who fought often they got more opportunities. Just ask the guy in the main event. Exactly.
Yeah, so, like you mentioned earlier.
That's what she should be doing. She should be pushing for another fight, and yeah, exactly.
So Mr. Remember the Name, Belal Muhammad, gave us a reason to remember his name against Diego Lima. He definitely looked phenomenal in that one. Let's just talk about the numbers real quick. Belal Muhammad, 129 significant strikes, 296. The 129 significant strikes was the most in the entire card. Beautiful performance. Belal Muhammad has looked amazing since losing to Jeff Neal in a unanimous decision. If you really look back outside of that, he's only lost to Vicente Luque and then Alan Jouban in his UFC career. Belal Muhammad is really under the radar, and he is definitely somebody who could make a splash in this welterweight division. A lot of people might not know his name now, but trust me, I think they're going to remember it.
Well, for me, he's one of the hardest worker in this division. Of course, I would say Colby and Kamaru are the 2 hardest worker in the cage, because when they go 5 rounds, like, you will see that they never stop. Belal Muhammad for me is the 3rd one, because he's a decision winner. He usually wins by decision, and it's always putting pressure and working hard and working and working and working. If he got some more finishes maybe in his MMA record, I feel like he would be fighting a higher ranked fighter. But because he always wins by decision, he's still now fighting like on the bottom of maybe the top 15 ranked. But
he's right out there, like 15 through 20, in my opinion.
I think that's what he needs, is one big fight. I think that he should stay ready for anyone who can't fight from people ranked above him. He should jump in and fight.
A perfect situation could have been like that Neil Magny fight. You know what I mean? Slide right into that, get his name off of him, continue on. For Belal, what do you think is next? So obviously, I believe come Wednesday night, there's going to be a number by his name. What would you like to see him next? Honestly, that rematch with Greg Neal could possibly happen.
That could possibly happen. I agree with you, but I would tell you something. If I'm Belal Muhammad and I see Leon Edwards, Leon Edwards not getting a fight, I will call him out. I'm not saying that he will get it, but I will call him out. I will call Leon Edwards and say,
there are talks about Leon versus Colby.
There are some talks about it, but there are a lot of talks. So many talks and not any action. Neil Magny lost. Like, he could be fighting against Neil Magny.
Jeff Neal just lost to Wonderboy. I really feel like that's a perfect, situation for the both of them.
It would be good. I won't be mad even if he fight against a Robbie Lawler, maybe beating someone with a big name, even though he's ranked above him. Belal is the number 13 and Robbie number 14. So even that's what he need. He either need a highlight finish or a big win against a big name. That's what he need to really break out. So I would say either a Robbie Lawler or a rematch, like you said.
2021 might be the year for Belal Muhammad. On to the next fight, Rodolfo Vieira became the first IBJJF fucking complete god to ever be submitted inside the cage. Like when you look at the stat, it's crazy when you look at, the IBJJF gold medalists that are black belts who have gone on into the UFC. The stat was astonishing. It was like 200 and something. If they did lost, they were all by knockout or decision, never ever being submitted. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez goes in there, submits Rodolfo Vieira in the second round with a beautiful guillotine choke from the guard. I thought it was an impressive performance by Anthony Hernandez. And every time you feel like you have to count him out, he's right back in it. The only fight that he obviously, didn't look amazing in was that Kevin Holland one. Other than that, he's looked very good since being in the UFC.
I think only a drunken gambler would have gamble about Anthony winning by submission in this fight.
Right.
Like when you see like the number of people that nobody wins by submission against this type of guys, but
IBJJ
Anthony did it.
Gold belt, black belt gold medalist, just don't get submitted. It's just a crazy stat when you come back and really think about it. It's like, wow, dude, that was the first.
When MMA is MMA and jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu, it's different. And like we've seen, Gokhan Saki, who's one of the greatest kickboxer, getting knocked out by Khalil Rutni in the UFC. We will see top jiu-jitsu guys get submitted in the UFC. MMA is a different world.
Yeah, it's crazy when you sit back and think about it all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, fuck, man. Just the way the submission went down, too. I really thought in that first round that he was going to knock out Fluffy.
Yeah. But somehow, some way, like you said, this fight should have been in the main card.
Yes, 100%. This fight, and then obviously what Julian Marquez and Maki Pitolo were able to do in that fight, man, it was phenomenal. We talk about back and forth. This is one that opened up the main card. This fight was back and forth, a reason why they opened the main card. Like legitimately, I thought for a second Pitolo was going to knock him out. Then I thought Julian was going to knock him out. Then I thought Pitolo was going to submit him. And then Julian ends up submitting him in the third, 4 minutes and 17 seconds left, losing the first two rounds. He went into the corner in the between second and third round, and they told him, you need a finish or you will not win this fight. Greatest advice I've ever heard from coaches is always just being truthful. Just tell them what's up. Honestly, hey, listen, bro, you're going to lose unless you get a finish. Julian Marquez heard the message, and he ran with it, delivering a beautiful anaconda choke on the guard. Beautiful submission. Performance of the night.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez also won performance of the night. Polyana Viana with her submission as well, won a submission of the night or performance of the night. And then obviously we'll talk about the last one at the end there. But yeah, Julian Marquez, man, after going out and winning this beautiful fight, he goes to the post fight, calls for a Valentine with Miss Miley Cyrus. Then she responds to him, asks for a very simple request. Just shave an MC, Miley Cyrus, into your chest hair, Mr. Julian Marquez.
Yeah.
And he fumbles the bag, and he asks her to get a henna tattoo above her navel that says the Cuban Missile Crisis. You should have just shaved your goddamn chest and ran to her.
Well, if I was him, this is what I would do. I will shave. I will do the thing. Then I will bang Miley Cyrus, take out my missile, and write what I wanted on her stomach. Like, why are you doing it with the hand? You know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing, man?
100%.
Dude, you left us down. The MMA community / world pushed for this shit to happen.
100%.
They harassed people on Twitter. They harassed Miley on Twitter. And she said, and this is what I actually like Miley Cyrus, because she doesn't give a fuck. Like, people been criticizing her. She gives zero fucks. And she like, and I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. He performed so well in that fight, and he messed up so well on Twitter. I feel this is why fighters should be fighter, and not everyone is made for tweeting and shit like that.
No, for sure. Crazy, crazy, crazy fight. Ricky Simone and Brian Keller also had a beautiful performance. That one was originally on the undercard, the prelims. They bumped that up to the main fight or on the main card because of the Bobby Green situation. Obviously, he collapsed after weighing in, so his fight with Jim Miller was scratched because of him fainting. I believe he had like kidney failure, all kinds of shit. Let's talk about that Bobby Green situation for a second before we get into the Brian Kelleher fight. Just crazy, crazy situation. Do you think that it is unsafe for fighters to continue to cut this type of weight? I've said it before. I mean, damage to his lung and kidney because of him trying to cut the weight. I know that people can do it safe, but you got to understand Bobby Green is now, not the youngest of guys. I want to say he's like in his later 30s, 34, 35. So why he's still trying to get down to 155 pounds is crazy because he's not a small dude.
He's not a small dude. He's never been a small dude. And at this point, I feel like he cannot cut that weight. We don't know the full story, so we don't know how he was prepared before, was he ready at all? Because we don't know that. I was pretty excited about him. I feel like his interviews that he did before they were very exciting. I really liked it. I liked how he talked truly and, without any bullshit. I like when fighters talk without bullshit. Like he's been saying that all I want to do is, earn money to my family and shit like that. So I liked it. But, I agree with you. They need to find a better way when it comes to weight cutting.
One FC might have the solution. Exactly. But like I said, Ricky Simone, just a beautiful performance by him. Every time he steps back out there, he just impresses me more and more. He really, stood on that wrestling. He's been riding that wrestling since he lost to Rob Font.
Yeah.
7 takedowns against Ray Borg, 7 game takedowns in his last fight, 6 takedowns this last Saturday against Brian Keller. In my opinion, Ricky Simone has just gotten better and better since losing those back-to-back fights to Font and to Uriah Faber. They talk about when people lose in situations like that, especially young fighters, that they, just lose it all. I feel like for Ricky Simone, it's the quite opposite. Losing his O against those type of guys has really pushed him to better himself. He has been an animal since that. Obviously, the takedowns speak for themselves. Control time 8 minutes and 14 seconds out of a 15-minute fight. Beautiful performance through the board. It was 27-30 for Mr. Ricky Simone.
Well, it's exactly what we spoke about, me and you, in the last for his last fight when he won. We said that those 2 losses he actually learned from them, and now he's proving it time again and again. And this is his second fight in 2021, and he already fought one time in 2020, so it's 3 wins in 2 years. I feel like if he gets another fight in 2021, it would be perfect for him, ranking wise.
Another guy after a slew of losses just really switched everything up. Calvin Gastelum looked phenomenal. Looked like the Calvin Gastelum of old that we seen on The Ultimate Fighter before coming up and, evolving his striking. Let's just throw out some numbers for you. In the 3 losses against Israel Adesanya, Darren Till, and Jack Hermanson, Calvin Gastelum only scored 3 takedowns. He scored 6 takedowns on Ian Heinisch on Saturday night. Just a beautiful performance. He got 3 in the very first round, and you could tell that was, his focus on getting there. In the second round, he took him down and was able to hold him down for a good half the round and just impose his will. I feel like if Calvin Gastelum just continues to ride his striking, he could really do something here at the end of his career. He's still, 29?
He's still young. I would tell you his age, but he's still young, and he's a good fighter. Listen, he had some weight issues. Yeah, he's 29. He had some weight issues at some point. Been trying to fight at a welterweight where He's not. He's not a welterweight guy.
He's not a welterweight.
He's a big middleweight, because remember that one time in middleweight he missed weight. So this is how big he is. He actually is. So personally, I wasn't a fan at all when he fought against Izzy, because I felt like he didn't deserve it at all. He won against a Bisping who lost the belt, and then whatever happened back then. But if he goes and try to climb the ladder the right way, I feel like, and with wins like that, he will deserve again a title shot if he keeps on winning against guys like that by this way. And that's all I'm wishing for him. He's a good fighter, very good fighter, very exciting fighter. I think he's one of the most loved fighter somehow, some way. Somehow, some way, he's one of the most loved fighter.
Kings MMA, man, they have really been producing beautiful performances here lately. Beneil Dariush, another guy. Yeah. Sabina Mazo has also looked very well. King/Queens MMA has looked very, very good. I honestly thought that should have been the co-main event. Looking, at the card, I thought, Einish, Gastelum's a former title challenger. Heinisch is on his way up. Perfect situation for the co-main event. It wasn't the co-main. In my opinion, the co-main event was very, very, very poorly placed. Macy Barber versus Alexa Grasso was the co-main event. Alexa Grasso won the fight. Looked very good in doing so. I could see her eventually possibly challenging Valentina Shevchenko for the UFC flyweight title. I don't think she's going to get anywhere near winning it, but she will challenge Valentina one day, because Valentina's going to beat everyone else in front of her. So that's the only real option.
I agree with you. I feel like Grasso should be fighting for the belt at some point. Not now. She's too young. She's not ready. Now she's not ready. But if she waits like maybe 1 year or two. I'm not saying that she will be winning against Valentina, but I feel like she would have more chances.
That definitely gives her a challenge.
Yeah. Macy Barber, man, what did you think about her performance? Alexa Grasso, listen, she outstrike you. That's what she does.
Outstructure, yeah.
What do you think about Macy?
I thought Macy should have really focused more on the takedowns. It just wasn't there. 3 takedowns on the night, yes, but Alexa Grasso had more control time than Macy Barber. That's with 0 takedowns. So just being on the ground, getting the sweep, and then being able to control Macy while she was on top, just mind-boggling to me. I understand that wrestlers don't like being on their backs, but you've been in this game long enough to know that people are going to try to put you on your back. What do you do from there? It's like basic jiu-jitsu shit.
I feel like Macy Barber can either really learn from this loss or either bury herself, because her last loss, she got injured during the fight. You know what I mean? So in her head, she only lost because of the injury. So coming up in this fight, she wanted, in my opinion, she wanted to win so bad that she didn't really focus on like the grappling aspect or really focusing on each round. She just wanted to win. And when you're not really focused on how to win and just wanting to win, that's usually what happened. I feel like she's still young. Macy Barber is very young, and she should be, no pressure, just be fighting without any pressure. Grasso won this fight because Macy Barber really didn't perform well. I think a grappler like Macy Barber should win against a striker like Alexa Grasso. Usually, on paper,
that's how it works out. Obviously, you look at this matchup, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. We obviously thought that Kamaru obviously has the better wrestling going in. In my opinion, though, I thought Gilbert had the better hands. In the first round, you've seen Gilbert connect with Kamaru. But then we talked about that fight awareness and fight IQ of Kamaru Usman too. Not just stand in the pocket, let's get out of it, hit your angles, because you are getting rocked. There was a point in that fight where I was like, holy shit, Gilbert Burns is going to knock out Kamaru Usman. I'm going to have to hear all these people talk shit because Kamaru's my boy. Fuck these people. And then Kamaru turned it all around, man, in the set. Well, let's see, at the end of the first round, the biggest thing, Gilbert, after putting all this pressure on Kamaru, falls down and then just stays down. Weird situation. Maybe he was gassed. Maybe he hit some kind of like adrenaline jump. That's what I think personally, without talking to him or getting his opinion on the matter. We don't really know. But I feel like he really hit an adrenaline dump, and that was the main reason why he didn't jump back up in that first round. I feel like had he just put more pressure on him in that first round, he could have taken Kamaru out.
Well, this is what happened when you fight against a cardio freak like Kamaru Usman. If you go out 100% on that first round, which is a game plan, which is a somehow some sort of way to try to win against fighters like that, but if you're not able to finish him in the first round, man, in the second round he will be better, and in the third one he will get finished, and this is exactly what happened.
Yeah, in the second round, he looked phenomenal, almost finishing the fight at the end. And then obviously the third round, he knocks him down again, finishes the fight. 13 beautiful, significant strikes landed. The last three probably he didn't need to give him. Gilbert, obviously, Rashad Evans said something about, friends fighting. It's easy to fight somebody you don't like. You want to go in there and kill them. Him and Colby had that, huge rivalry. He wanted to kill him. But Gilbert and Kamaru are friends. Their kids played together. Like, they grew up in MMA together, those two. So I guarantee you for both of them, it was not easy. But Kamaru obviously has the great mindset. He said something that, really stuck with him was when Gilbert kept saying that he's got something Kamaru has something that Gilbert wants, and that Gilbert was going to go in there and take it. So you heard Kamaru at the end of the fight. He said, "You're going to take what from me? And you're not going to take a damn thing from me. I'm Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, and I have solidified myself as one of the baddest men on the planet."
Yeah, I feel like Gilbert thought maybe that his striking was better than Kamaru. I feel like maybe he would focus
Huge
more.
Kamaru Usman fan. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, maybe Burns' jiu-jitsu was better than Kamaru, so maybe that's the aspect that she should have went with.
Well, yeah, you've seen Kamaru did not want to get down there with you.
Yeah, but Burns is a world-class jiu-jitsu guy. Before that fight, I told you to watch his match against Gary Tonin. Yeah, yes. Which he looked amazing in it. So just to know the level of jiu-jitsu of Gilbert Burns. But man,
now that the fight is over, I'm not going to mention the names. I had two Stanford MMA fighters. Both tell me that they thought Gilbert was going to knock out Kamaru.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy because in my opinion, my cousin, who is not really an MMA fan, but he was asking me, so yeah, he told me like on TV they're talking about this fight, like should I be watching it? Like, do you think that this Gilbert had a chance? I told him there's no way in hell Gilbert Burns will win against Kamaru Usman, and I love Gilbert Burns. He's a great fighter.
Kamaru's a beast, though.
Kamaru, man.
I've been saying this shit forever. If you've listened to this show, I probably even said it on the first show. We'll probably talk a lot about Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, we've been talking about him. Yeah.
Is a bad man.
He's next level. I think that personally the only one that can win against him is Masvidal.
What about your boy Colby?
No, they are too much of the same, and Kamaru is the better version of him. Even
he does everything that he does, but better.
And striking wise, Kamaru is getting better and better, and I don't see Colby getting better on striking, on the speed where that Kamaru is getting at.
I think that speaks to Kamaru's work ethic, in his background and coming up and having to claw and scratch for everything you want. His brother, the same thing. Muhammad, let's talk about Muhammad for a second, okay? Best fucking hype man of all time. Bro.
100%.
I was ready to fight somebody with Muhammad right there. I was like, God damn, bro, who we fighting? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, listen.
Best hype man ever.
To have your brother, this is what Kamaru has that Colby doesn't right now. Kamaru has a team that would die for him. He has his brother. He has like it's not only like when they say your gym, your partners are your family. His family are actually there. Colby turned his back on Masvidal, on all the people that would have maybe give him the opportunity to win against the Kamaru Usman.
I do want to correct you real quick, though. They actually do not train together.
Who? Kamaru and his brother?
And Muhammad, yes. Muhammad trains at Fortis MMA in Dallas.
Yeah. But they always there's so many videos of them like always working out together. So
always
it's the same shit.
Yeah. literally having him right by your side is crazy. I guarantee you he spent some time at Fortis Kamaru, and vice versa. Muhammad has spent some time up there with Trevor Whitman. I want to talk about Trevor Whitman for a second, just what he's been able to do as a coach and a guru for Kamaru Usman has really taken him to the next level. I feel like this version of Kamaru Usman is probably the most dangerous version of him we've ever seen, and he is just getting started with Trevor Whitman. Let's look 3 or 4 years down the road, and we could arguably talking about one of the greatest fighters that ever graced our presence.
I cannot wait to see the Ultimate Fighter with the Kamaru Usman as a coach and see his work ethic, because we've seen videos on YouTube on how they work out, but
even if you watch his Ultimate Fighter season, he was a workhorse there as well.
Yeah, of course, he always been, but now as a world champion and as the best welterweight in the world, to see him how he works out, and I think it will be amazing to see, because, and I really hope that people will actually start enjoying Kamaru Usman for what he is, because he's one of a kind.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the man said it himself. Put some fucking respect on my name, and I think it's time for you all to start putting some respect on that man's name. He is one dangerous individual. He's arguably one of the best pound for pound fighters we currently have in the UFC, and he, in my opinion, is on his way to becoming the welterweight GOAT.
And he deserves another big fight, and that big fight, Masvidal, I feel like, can bring the best out of Kamaru Usman for that fight.
Let's get 3 names before we wrap it up here about performances that really stood out to you.
Well, we talked a little bit of shit about that co-main event, but I would just want to point out, like, Alexa Grasso really looked good in that fight. So I will.
She did. You're absolutely right.
She would be my first pick. Bilal Muhammad,
winning name, man.
Winning man, and I'm a big fan of him. Always been, and I feel like he's the type of fighter that I'll always be a fan of. Kelvin, you know what? My first pick would be Kelvin Gastelum. I've been talking a lot of shit about Kelvin, saying that he didn't deserve this, didn't deserve that, but his performance went. He looked very good, and striking wise, grappling wise, he really performed.
Listen. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick 3 of the fucking performance of the night winners. Fluffy Hernandez looked amazing. Julian Marquez, even though he fumbled the purse after the fight, looked very fucking impressive during the fight. And then how do you not give it to the champion Kamaru Usman, man? I figured you were saving him for me.
No,
but exactly. I mean, let's be for real, man. Kamaru Usman, and I'm not just talking just as a fan, just as an analyst, someone who's really broken down fights, who understands what's going on in the cage. Yeah. He's really evolving into one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen right in front of our eyes. In his striking, as you talked about earlier, if it continues to ascend, he's going to be very hard to beat. I believe he's beaten 8 of the top 10 or some shit like that, or 7 of the top 10. The only people he hasn't beaten are Michael Chiesa, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and there's one more that I was like, that name doesn't even, Neil Magny.
Yeah.
The only people in the top 10, I believe, that he hasn't beaten.
Yeah. He will not be fighting any of them. I feel like he will be only fighting against top guys. What do you think about him calling out GSP?
I don't think GSP wants that smoke. I think GSP knows Kamaru Usman is a million times harder fight than Khabib Nurmagomedov, just purely based on size. There's a reason why Khabib never wants to move up to welterweight. That's Kamaru Usman.
Well, I'm not sure about that, man. I feel like Khabib never moved up a weight class, because he really struggled to get that title fight, if you remember.
No, for sure. Yeah, he took a long time to get, but also Kamaru too, 7-fight win streak. People talk about GSP being the greatest because of his win streak. He only had to win 4 fights to get a title shot. Kamaru had to fight 7 fights to get the title shot. In the top 10, outside of his teammate Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal Magny, he hasn't beaten. Damian Maia, number 8, beaten. Number 7, Tyron Woodley, beat for the title. Number 4, Jorge Masvidal just beat. Number 3, Leon Edwards gave him his last loss. Number 2, Colby Covington, the same thing. Gilbert Burns, he just beat. At this rate, Kamaru Usman's not going to have many people to continue fighting unless he looks at rematches. And I feel like we talked about, Masvidal is the biggest name. I also think Colby Covington is a huge draw, whether you want to do the Ultimate Fighter with him or not. You could have Masvidal versus Kamaru, and then you could have Leon Edwards versus your boy, Mr. Big Mouth.
Yeah, Leon Edwards tried to call out Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz
he hit him with the, who the fuck is that guy?
He's not interested in that fight because I'm not sure.
You could also fight Masvidal, and you could just let Leon fight Kamaru.
Yeah, I would rather see, I feel like if they go with the Ultimate Fighter season between Masvidal and Kamaru, that's the fight that will happen. I feel like maybe they know, maybe Masvidal accepted that short fight notice against Usman with some type of guarantee of a rematch.
Yeah, like, hey, I get a rematch if I don't win this one.
Because he stepped up in a critical time.
Anything else on UFC 258, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns?
I feel like we've talked about everything around this show. McGregor saying that he's pursuing Dustin Poirier for a rematch. That's good.
Yeah, definitely interesting. But I just feel like if they get that title shot, they're skipping a big line. Maybe not Dustin Poirier, but Conor McGregor for sure. But yeah, that about wraps it up for UFC 258, Usman versus Burns. We will be back here shortly, talk about Blades versus Lewis. But until then, you guys stay classy.
Peace.